Hey guys, so I really want to address a topic that's a bit of concern to me. So this doesn't apply to everyone because I'm sure there's plenty of people, maybe not plenty, but a decent amount of people who have amazing lives and they have all these interesting things that they can go to, that they're invited to, and not enough time in the day to execute all those things. Good for you. I would love to learn more about you and pick up some of those activities. This is mainly for most people on the internet, though. Most people who are just bored to death. I see it all the time. And I've met plenty of people of many age ranges who have boring lives, they know it, and to them their lives are boring. And they don't know what to do and they have all this free time, but they're just wasting it doing the stupidest stuff. I recently saw this video on YouTube and it had like 300,000 views. And it was something like things to do when you're bored. And lo and behold, the activities in the video were like kind of boring and kind of dumb in it of itself. Just very simple stuff like playing with sticks or going on a hike. And that sort of stuff can be very, very fun. Don't get me wrong. But the point of this video is to tell you guys that there's so many things out there that are so interesting, so amazing. And the problem is you have to find them. You have to locate them. You have to realize them. There are books out there that have stories that would blow your mind. There are movies out there that would just blow your mind, the most amazing things ever. There are anime and manga. I've read a decent amount with amazing stories that are just very awesome. The thing is, oftentimes there's not enough people making you aware of this stuff, and therefore you're at a loss, and then you're stuck doing something that's, slightly entertaining, moderately entertaining, but kind of mind-numbing as well. Mainstream television programs, TV shows, TV series, mainstream movies that are being marketed to you, and there's not enough marketing or bringing to awareness the amazing things out there, the activities you can do, hobbies, all these things that you're not aware of. And there's a lot out there. I recently saw this YouTube channel. It was very small. It had like 10,000 subscribers. And it was all about this thing called geocaching. I wasn't personally interested in it, but it was so intriguing. And it just illustrates the sheer vastness of different hobbies and amazing activities out there. So what geocaching is, based off what I can tell, was this whole high-tech scavenger hunt where you use stuff like GPS and coordinates, and you do all this stuff to eventually find this metal spherical ovular case that's usually buried deep in the ground with all sorts of cool time capsule stuff from a while ago in it. So it's a really cool type of scavenger hunt slash time capsule thing. And apparently you can explore and travel and do all this stuff on a large scale to get that done. It's quite interesting, but not for me. And so this is just to get your mind whirring. And for me, honestly, I'm still looking and I'm still exploring because I'm sure there's plenty of stuff out there that's amazing that I have not experienced yet, whether it's foods, cuisines, locations in the world, or books, or stories, or hobbies, or just random things. Who knows what it is? So keep that in mind. And I'm not going to lie, for me, a lot of my life has been pretty on the boring side. I mean, not exactly the most boring thing in the world, but just times where I felt like I wasn't really satisfied or really engaged, and there's nothing to do. And that sucked. And nowadays, I make sure to not have that mindset, because there are certain moments where I just realize there's not enough time in my lifetime to read all these books on my book list anymore, and do all this stuff in a day. And other times you still fall into boring places. So I'm trying not to do that, because the more and more I learn about new books, new experiences, all this stuff, it really just you realize how much amazingness is out there. And again, I have a book list that's already over 1,000 books long, and there's just some very interesting books in there. Some of them are biographies, people who have had the most interesting stories ever, like the guy behind Kiss, the band. He's had some crazy times with drugs and all sorts of stuff, women, and I'd love to hear his story. And he's written quite a few books on it. And there's a bunch of other stuff. I can go on and on, but this video is getting kind of long. I just want to get your mind exploring. And the last thing is just not to get too deep on the other end, which is realizing that you don't need to have exceptionally high standards, and realizing that's a huge problem. 100 years ago, 50 years ago, people, and I'm not even lying about this, I'm not making this up, I've read it in books, people had to be very creative to find things to do to entertain themselves, because they were poor. Back in the Depression age, you had sticks and buckets and whatever you can find to work with, maybe some chalk if you're lucky, and people were creative and people found a lot of fun. I mean, if you go to Africa, they still do stuff like this, and they still have a lot of fun with their friends with the simplest games. I mean, you could do a lot with sticks and stones and the ground, believe me. So don't get into the spoiled brat state where you're like, oh, I need extravagant things that cost a lot of money because those are the only things that interest me. You don't want to, that's the wrong mindset as well. So two things: realize that there's a lot of interesting things out there, you just have to go out and find them. And two is also don't get into the spoiled brat type mindset, and realize that you can find entertainment if you lower your standards as well and be creative. And nowadays I'm looking around at the world, people my age and younger, and I've interacted with people like this, and you know, the second one is very, very tough, just from what I can tell. For most people it's very tough. It's just naturally how they're programmed these days. So that's all I got to say about the subject. Again, it's a message of hope as well. I'm still kind of looking for certain stuff, so if you guys have any suggestions or for specific interests or hobbies, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.